Welcome, or welcome back, if you've been here, visited my channel before. If you haven't, welcome. A special welcome. Because I'm only talking to be heard. Not to hear myself talk, but for other people to hear what I have to say. I think it might be important, but I could be wrong. So that's the thing, I don't know. So I'm going to just say it, articulate the hell out of what's going on up here of late, and you guys decide whether it's worth what I'm doing, like worth my effort. If you watch it and I see the view count and some engagement in the comments and stuff, I'll keep doing it. I've only been doing this for a couple of days. The videos, I mean. Oops, is that a booger? No, it's a whisker. The routines in the other videos, some of the, I don't know what I'm doing. Dancing, yoga. I meditate on pain, I guess. And how this started was I was in a lot of pain a couple of years ago. Sorry. I meant to do that before I started recording, but then I just saw it on my laptop. It's from the pot store next door, edible. Doesn't taste very good, but they stopped making the one that I really liked. I'm not going to mention names or anything because I'm not getting sponsored. There's no money in this for me. I doubt if my channel will ever see monetization, but here's hoping. I mean, not for the money, but hey, 1,000 subscribers is their requirement, and I would love to have 1,000 of you subscribing and motivating me and incentivizing me to keep doing this, because it's good for me. Everything I'm sharing with you, I've learned very recently. I'm 57 years old, and in my mid to late 40s, about 46 to 48 area, I started developing. Sorry, I'm gonna chase that gummy with a little bit of ice cream because I used to think I was lactose intolerant, but the milk, the natural sugar in milk, lactose, gets converted to lactic acid in our body. And that's a big deal. Lactic acid. Ooh, we don't want that. But the thing is, the process of it, doing that process of our body turning something, like doing something. So how does it do that? How does it turn lactose into lactic acid? It processes it somehow, right? It changes it. Well, that changes us using it. And how we use it is, it informs our endocrine system via our pituitary and pineal glands, via the senses. Touch, our sense of hearing and smell, and our sight. Our sense of taste is very closely connected to our sense of smell. And our sense of smell isn't that far away from our sense of hearing. And we have very special eyes amongst the animal kingdom. in that. Sorry. I'm just going to put this away. There's some fruit at the bottom. I wasn't just eating ice cream. There was fruit at the bottom, and I was actually going to try to get to the fruit, but forget it. I'm just going to go with what I know. Coffee and weed and cigarettes. Well, I make delicious coffee. Come by sometime and have one. I'll make you a coffee. So, let's get back to the whole reason for the reason. The reason why we're here. The reason I'm here, I've discovered, is that I'm a filter. We all started out as filters. Tube at each end. Nutrients go in. Everything goes in. Nutrients get absorbed, and then waste comes out. Right? Stuff we don't need out. Stuff we do need. So what do we need? We need animal protein, animal fats. Yeah, we need minerals and vitamins. It's like we need things from plant life, but our body has to do a lot of work to turn plants into us. Nature does it in a way that created a food chain. So we're predators. Eyes that look forward. We see a prey. We can focus on it. We can change our depth of field. We have our eyes are miracles, and in essence, they're not much of anything except a ball of mucus with some receptors at one end, and enough clear mucus, enough liquid mucus. Like there's not some airspace in our eye that we see through. When you look at our pupil, it's behind a layer. It's behind your cataract, and your cornea, and your. Anyway, I had laser eye surgery about 12 years ago or so. Can you tell? Have I healed up all right? About a month later, I got myopia. So I had laser surgery for distance, which was awesome. I could see a mile away, but I couldn't read anything. I couldn't read anything close to my hand, like from arm's length. You know what it is. If you've got reading glasses, if you've had that, if you're over maybe 35 or so, you're probably 40. If you hit 50 without needing reading glasses, congratulations. you know. But then again, excuse me. Yeah, there's gas. Okay, let's get back to the lactose. I tend to get distracted. I tend to branch off into new trains of thought, and I apologize for that. And I will edit some of these videos so that where I do trail off, I'll just cut and enough said, I guess. I'm doing it again. The lactose, the milk, our first thing we take in after we come out is our mother's milk. We drink, and this is what I'm trying to say, is when we think we're lactose intolerant, all this is our body decide, our endocrine system is informed by that, by just the as soon as that hits our mouth, as soon as we taste the milk, even smell it, our body starts to get ready for growing, like for becoming more human, I guess. Like a baby is drinking milk to get more of itself. And most of nature, at a certain age, the young aren't any longer have access to their mother's milk. We have access to our mother's milk for quite a long time. I've seen some crazy stuff in some coffee shops with some rather large children breastfeeding still. Walking, almost going to school. We'll talk about school in another video. The public education system and daycare and stuff like that. Anyway, so milk is just, when you have that, when you get gas and you're farting and everything else, it's like when a factory fires up production. It's got to turn on the furnaces. It's got to, get the generators going and get some power to the machinery so that it can make whatever it is that factory's doing. And your body's just a factory making chemicals and repairing damage to itself that we do. Again, I've got tattoos all over. I got about 13 of them, I think, last count. and a bunch of piercings over the years that I've had and healed and had again, and my tongue, my lip, and my ears, and a nipple. Anyway, long story short. Long story. It's not that short, believe me. They're all long, none short. So I did all this stuff to myself, and I was cool. I thought I was, anyway. I was like the youngest kid in my high school with a tattoo. Not something to brag about, but at the same time, I wanted to become a tattoo artist at some point in my life when I was really young. I was in Army cadets, and this guy showed up, one of my instructors, when I was in cadet camp, with a little red devil. I don't remember that comic book, but I do. Or cartoon, comic book, whatever. And he had that tattooed on his arm. And it was a little bit sassy looking, red devil, you know, a little more mature than the one I remember from the comic books. But that tattoo, just, I wanted to. So then later in life, you know, I bugged, you know, long story about the first tattoo, but I just turned 16. I might have, 15, 16. I was pretty young. And then I got a few bad ones in that age range, and then in my mid-20s, I got them covered up and some nicer tattoos along the way, and actually befriended a very wonderful man who is a tattoo artist and my own personal mentor and brother, Al. Anyway, he knows who he is. He's probably not watching, because he doesn't really watch YouTube videos. He's got other stuff to do. But anyways, I love him. He's my best friend. I have many bests of friends for different eras of my life, different ages, different times in my life and stuff like that. We'll talk about time in another video too, I guess. But I have a lot of friends, and I have had companions like John. You know who you are. Ex-military, we were in the Army together, we were cadets together. He promoted me, unofficially, but it stuck. Long story. I'm going to quit saying long story. So, Stoner, John, there, a little bit of broken anonymity there, was he was somebody I looked up to as my hero in the Army, in cadets. By the time we both got into we were in the Army Reserves together. Anyway, he was my instructor on my advanced infantry course, and my machine gun course. My holy crap, what a drunken mess that was. I was shooting 50 caliber and 30 caliber machine guns out of an armored personnel carrier. Well, technically an wheeled vehicle general purpose, or AVGP. I don't remember. A long time ago, 1985, I think, summer of '85. I was in Petawawa on my 18th birthday, shooting coaxial mounted machine guns out of a Cadillac gauge turret mounted on a Grizzly armored vehicle general purpose, AVGP. Ooh. There I go. Anyway, milk is good for you. So, lactose intolerance, you're not lactose intolerant. Your body's just going through some metabolic and physiological changes because it's informed that there's surplus. There's excess. Your mother is able to give you milk to keep you alive by her being alive and having more than enough to keep her alive so she can keep you alive. And when we get that into us, lactose, and it eventually turns into lactic acid, but in the process of us using that lactose, and it's not like we use it in a way that it's like part of us anymore. It gets used up, eaten up. The sugar gets used up as part of our energy, part of what we're moving around, right? So it's not like when we eat protein stuff, that's like building blocks. Fats, animal fats, and proteins are chunks of things that our body can use to replace damaged chunks. Whereas things like sugars, carbohydrates, they get burned up and we use them as energy for the body to do to put those building blocks of proteins and fats where they have to go. And minerals, calcium and things like that, right? So our body makes bones, by sticking calcium together. It makes muscles by sticking animal proteins together. The fibrous tissue gets formed in that process because how it sticks the stuff together is little tubes. We're all little tubes of mucus, and those tubes of mucus become different viscosities. Some of them harden up to the point where they're tendons and muscle tissue and things like that. And the cells gather up in those vessels, in those strands of space in our different viscosities of mucus. Our nerves are fibrous, and they go all through our body, through our skin, mostly. We feel things on every inch of our skin, every millimeter, every I think there's about 1,000 hair follicles coming out of 1 square inch of scalp space, and that's a lot of nerves feeding hair follicles. Every hair follicle is getting fed by lymph vessels, which is liquefied lymph, and how it moves around in your body is your nerve fibers vibrate. They vibrate to communicate with each other and tell each other what's going on. So it's a chain reaction. So your nerves, when you feel stuff, it's your nerve fibers vibrating. It's those bits and pieces vibrating, telling each other in their own language. See, we don't understand. We don't understand ourselves when we try to understand dolphins, dogs, cats, aliens. Language is a way to articulate what's going on in here. Don't let it limit you what's going on in here. That's why I have a hard time putting things into words, because I can not even see, but imagine, I guess. I can experience these different realities in my brain, in my mind. I imagine. I used to work a lot in construction, so you imagine, and if anybody's bought a new house or had a house built or built a house, been in it, you know what I'm talking about. You can visualize in your mind's eye, but it's multi-dimensional visualization. You're not just standing on the street looking at a picture of a house. You're seeing the intricacies of it. If you're a builder, you're looking in between the floor joists and what kind of insulation is there. Anyway, I guess I'm taking a long way to say that. What was I saying? I might have to edit this video, but we'll see. I'm going to light this, and then we'll see whether I have to edit anything or not. No monetizations, so I don't care about smoking. Nobody's gonna. I don't care how many people watch this video. YouTube, I don't think, is gonna let me earn from what I have to say. It's pretty contrary to most of the mainstream and the side stream. The alternative stuff is still kind of. I love the alternative news and finding my sources of information are varied. I don't look at just the right or left, either or even just the right and left. There's a lot of room in the middle. There's a lot of room in the middle. The middle is where everything is. Like I said in other videos, and there's, if you look at the moment that you're in, the tomorrow is the future is infinity in front of you, and the past is infinity behind you. So in time, we're right smack in the middle of two infinities. So don't even try to imagine how big the infinities are. And I see mathematicians trying to figure out numbers for, different. Oh my goodness, forget about it, man. It's about numbers, but numbers are made out of sound waves, right? Everything's made out of sound waves. Everything. The Big Bang is static. It's a feedback loop. It's a reality is the meeting place between reality. What do you got? We talk about an alternate reality. Well, if we have alternate realities, they all meet up somewhere. Alternate universes. to meet up. Well, they don't meet up, they overlap, but they don't really overlap either. They do some stuff. They get together. But then they pass through each other, right? The sides of the vessels change. In our body, the nerve fibers are gathered together in strands, and they're woven strands. They spiral so that they can, not tear when we go around bends and curves. So look at cables and how they're woven together, and you can bend them without them tearing. If you have all the strands going in one direction, these ones have to get long, these ones get short. There's tension and compression, and if you've been in construction, you know that stuff breaks when you bend it. So what we do with steel cables is we take a bunch of strands, wire, and we spin them around, like we coil them around so that they are flexible and they don't break, they don't tear each other apart, right? So, anyways, long story short, engineering lessons from someone who could be a bridge or a ladder, or I don't know. I guess I could be a bunch of things. I walk like an Egyptian sometimes. I'm not showing off. I don't even know what I'm doing. It's a long story, but I'm not in control of these guys sometimes. Anyway, so drink your milk, eat your meat. Eggs are perfect. There's an entire living creature ready. It's. We were an egg once. You were an egg, and your mother. You were an egg, a fertilized egg, right? Her egg, dad's sperm. Start division, right? Well, this an egg, a chicken egg, or whatever egg you're eating, ostrich egg, whatever you got, whatever your appetite, and wherever you are, robin egg, whatever. I've been on survival courses. They're delicious little things. Birds' eggs. We lived on stuff like that. We had to climb trees. We got these because we climb trees, and it takes a lot of skin off, right? When we're on rough bark and thorns and, the bugs that are already on the tree, we're climbing over them and they're biting. So our hands are very tough but dexterous and flexible and soft and supple. I can hold on to something brand new and something. My father's in a wheelchair, and I've had to transfer him from chair to toilet a couple of times, and we can lift each other up, but not if we can't lift ourselves up, right? My father can't walk, so he needs help being lifted up. So if those that are able to help, and if we have these, we are, right? We can take care of ourselves, right? These can do. I removed a piece of broken tooth that I didn't know was down my throat with a hangnail by bringing my hands together and touching my face. And I did this often enough, and I looked at my hands after I did that. I touched myself, and I looked at my hands, and I found that I wasn't the only one looking at my hands. Everybody was. Every consciousness that's ever existed, every human being before me, and every being that made humans before us, before Homo erectus and Denisovans and Neanderthals, and everybody is in here. These are healing hands. Try crying without using your hands. Applause. We are meant to applaud ourselves. And it reminds us that no matter how unique and special and individual and one of a kind you are, there's two of you. You've a left and a right. Oh, and a front and a back. Oh, there's four of you. None equal. Very hard to balance. But we do it. Some better than others, but we can balance. We can do tricks. One of them is being able to kick a tree. Oops, dirty feet. It's a good sign. That's toxins coming in. They hitchhike on carbon, which is a byproduct of carbohydrates being burned in your body. Everything black is carbon. Everything white is you. Pure, right? I studied water purification, water treatment. Clear water is good water, safe to drink. Steam is the purest form of water. It's a vapor. It doesn't have any contaminants in it yet. Distilled water, maybe from a hot spring or a volcanic activity, probably allowed us to avoid death by bug, pathogen, the bad stuff going in that hangs on and doesn't want to come out. Right? We have a hard enough time getting stuff out that we put in by, that is inert. But when we put things into us that are active, everybody talks about a gut biome. You don't want a gut biome. You don't want bacteria inside of you. You don't want it like yeast. All the old books talk about unleavened bread and everything else. Well, yeast is a bacteria that doesn't all die off during the baking process. Nowadays, more, who knows, well, I don't know about nowadays, but anyways, at some point in time, you get yeast in your belly, and you don't have antibiotics or anything like that back, 14,000 years ago, 14,000 years ago, thousands of years ago, over the lifetime of humanity up until we started lying to ourselves about what's good for us. Seeds aren't good for us. So we're eating bread. Here's what bread is. Ground up grass seeds mixed with salt, yeast, and water. Sounds good, right? Sounds appetizing as shit. That's pretty much everything you eat. Change the amount of salt and sugar, and you have a cake or you have a loaf of bread. Well, and again, whether or not it's leavened or not, like with yeast. And again, so yeast is a living thing that you're putting into your food that's going to either A, when it gets inside of you, it's going to eat you or compete with you for food energy. One or the other. And whichever one it does, it does that, and it leaves stuff behind, right? There's waste products from processing carbohydrates in our body. And when we process the right types of sugars from things like that nature gives us, that it wants us to eat, fleshy fruits, not the seeds, root vegetables, tubers, some legumes and things, like things that hang and things that are readily available. And the seeds are meant by nature for us to not eat, pass through us, like survive the digestive system and propagate the species later on. And we've evolved to have the capacity to digest seeds and break them down and get all that stuff. But why would you want to do that? Why would you put your factory into why would you want to make your factory do overtime work all the time? You know how much overtime costs? Oh, I was a boss in a union company for a while, and paying guys overtime is not an option. So your body, you don't want to send it a bunch of crap that it's going to have to do overtime work, right? So you don't sleep well. It's because your metabolism is doing stuff at night, breaking down things like fibrous foods that you're not supposed to eat fiber all the time. Once in a while. How often does your dog eat grass? When it wants to puke. So very rarely, hopefully, you're feeding it right, and it doesn't want to throw up very often. So it's not out looking for little tufts of grass to throw down its throat that are going to trigger its gag reflex and make it throw up, so that it doesn't die from ear infections and things like that. Dogs know how to take care of themselves, and grass has chlorophyll in it and everything else. So as it's causing that reaction of us getting rid of that bad mucus, the dogs throw up. You see all that slimy stuff. You see the slobber on there. Well, that's all the stuff that the dog doesn't want inside it. It's all the stuff that your body is using to eject whatever it is that is disagreeing with it, that your body doesn't want to process, can't process, whatever. So we eat all this stuff and we shove all this stuff in our yaps, not out of hunger, because we're not fucking hungry. This idea of intermittent fasting is BS. You're supposed to eat intermittently, not all the time. You're not supposed to take breaks from eating to take fasts. You're supposed to eat occasionally. Break your fast once in a while with a meal, and then get back to fasting again. Like go fast. You can't go fast. You can't go fast if you're carrying around an extra 50 pounds. Okay, trust me, I was in the army. I know you can only go so fast, and then you fucking stop, right? So fast. Just fast. Just don't eat. If you're hungry, ask yourself, what do I want? And if you can't decide right away what you want to eat, if you don't know what you want to eat, you don't want to eat, you're just bored. You want to go spend money. You want something. You want to have sex. Maybe you're hungry in the way that you need animal protein or animal fat for your immune system to work properly. So there's a point where we do need to get more building materials in there to help with for the carbohydrates to use, right? Something's going on. So you get that type of hunger where you're pissed off, like the hangry kind of hunger. And that's just, you need to go kill something and eat it, right? You're that hungry that you're willing to, leave your family and the safety of the village or your home or whatever, your cave, where we all spend a lot of time in caves, man. Caveman. We're cavemen. And cave women. What is a woman? Ask a cave woman, I guess. So, anyway, I want to get off. My cat needs some attention. I don't know. You can't see her down here. She's just climbed up on my lap. So, Iris. Not after the god, after my aunt. And because she has a spiral shaped like an eyeball on her side, so I called her Iris. Anyway, thanks for letting me talk to you. It meant a lot to me. Hopefully it means something. Hopefully it meant something to you too. Hope. Have some hope. Have some peace. And love. Each other. Since there are no others, it should be easy, right? Just love. Love everyone you come across. Might be you.